Okay, it is May 5th, 2026. The time is 8:31 a.m. and we will convene the meeting of the Stewart County Board of Commissioners. The Open Meetings Act is posted on the wall as required and copies are available upon request. Please stand as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please make sure your phones are silenced and we're going to keep on the roll. McCarrick?
Here.
Schmieding?
Here.
Hine? Here. Zabraki?
Here.
Amick? Here. Takes us to item number. What's working? Well, I guess you're using your laptop today. Or you can change the battery. You want a new battery?
It was
Maybe when I
working.
broke it. It was working. I did accidentally knock this out, but that would make a difference.
No, it was working after that.
Okay, we'll go to item number 3, which is approving minutes from April 28th, 2026. If there are no changes, we'll take a motion. Is mine working? Yep. All right. Let's call the roll.
Second.
Okay, so we have a first and a second.
Oh.
Please call the roll. Hine? Yes. Zabraki?
Yes.
McCarrick?
Yes.
Schmieding?
Yes.
Yes. It's 5-4-0 opposed to approving the minutes from April 28th. I don't think their lapels are working either.
My lapel's working.
Do you want to try changing the battery in your other one?
I think I changed the battery in mine last week, but I can't. I just turned it off.
1, 2, 1, 2.
You hear him out there?
1, 2, 1, 2.
Do we?
Both of them are working. But I got some open.
Okay. We might be sharing. I'm gonna take this in there. You can use this one. That's fine. Or Daryl. Would the low battery be the cause of it not working? Okay, Reagan's back up. All right, Daryl's back up. I think so.
Hello.
Yeah, there you go. Yay, okay. All right, we'll go to item number 4, which is claims through April 24th, 2026. Any discussion about claims? If not, we'll take a motion.
I will move that we approve the claims through April 24th, 2026.
Second.
Please call the roll. Hine?
Yes.
Zabraki?
Yes.
Schmieding?
Yes.
McCarrick?
Yes.
Amick? Yes. That is 5-4-0 opposed to approving claims through April 24th, 2026. Item number 5 is anyone from the public wish to speak? All right, seeing no one from the public, is there any organizations that wish to speak? Okay. No organizations. Any officials? Morning, Marilyn.
Just have to really make sure and talk
You really
into
have
the
to talk
microphone.
into the mic.
Okay.
Okay, good morning. You can hear me, right?
Yep.
Okay, I'm just going to tell you that I think I saw in the minutes you're not going to have a meeting next Tuesday on the 12th. So that's a Board of Equalization Day. So by June 1st, you have to act on any exemptions that have applied since the first of the year. So we have some. So we'll have to do it on the 26th would be the last Tuesday. So I'll get that on the agenda. And what we would have is we have some personal property. We have the urgent care that's actually run by Brian Health over on Bradford. We have a personal property where the accountant filed it and noticed she didn't file last year. So we'll do addition on that one. And some other personal properties where we found out the businesses were no longer here to delete them. St. Wences Catholic Church. They go back and forth renting and not renting. So now we're back to not renting. So it's going to be a partial. And then the Sunrise Country Manor sold. So the new people have filed. It's the 451NH, the nursing home one. And we have a new one this year, which is Heartland Park, which is Kinship Point. That will be a new one, and then the other one is Sur Living Center, and that one is that's at Cinderman, the old Cinderman home. So I'll get those on the agenda, and so we can do these corrections then. That's all I have.
Thank you, Marilyn. On the Sunrise Country Manor, it's
Right.
called, on the Sunrise one, they just sold the nursing home parcel, not the parcel next to it, right?
I have them as two parcels. So
It is
they wanted to do it on both. They had emailed me about it, and I said that the one that's vacant doesn't qualify.
So
they
it is
didn't-
the whole thing. Okay.
No, so they just filed on the one.
Right, okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Marilyn?
Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you.
Any other officials? Okay. We'll go to,
Yeah, Carrie.
okay, Carrie?
Yep.
Yep. Thank you, sorry.
That's okay. Filling in for the local office.
Good morning, thanks. I jotted a few things down because I think this is the first time I visited this year. Sorry. So Emily and Anne have historically taken care of this, so I jotted a few things down. So just an update on Nebraska Extensions or Seward County Extensions strategic plan for specifically 26, but it'll extend in 27 and 28, of course. We've continued building momentum of the 26 strategic plan. Reagan, Misty, and Ken in varying ways have all been able to either be updated on that through participation or extension board meetings. Ultimately, the goal is to identify priority areas in the county to make sure that we are aligning our programming to think about where extension can best support Seward County moving forward. And our focus is to make sure that we're doing whatever we're doing is directly connected to local needs and that we're working alongside existing partners rather than duplicating efforts. At our next share out, we'll be able to provide some of those more specifics where we'll say these are the priority areas that were identified in November. Then we had a meeting just last week, I think it was, where we reconvened to kind of pull together additional organizations in the county working on those efforts. And then we'll share out how we've been contributing directly to those efforts. So we'll make sure that's at our next report out for this group. Current needs from the commissioners, I had in my mind 3 bullets: update on strategic plan, anything that the office needs from you, and then what we don't. At this time, I said this time we don't have any specific requests or immediate needs, so thank you for your support. And then requests or feedback from the community. So is there anything that you as elected officials are hearing that you feel would be really helpful for the Extension Office to know, or feedback for us in some way?
I haven't heard anything, and I'm pretty connected to youth within the community in different groups. I can't think of anything specifically, but if I do hear anything, I will certainly email you, Anne and Emily.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. One final bullet point I wanted to lift up that we don't talk about a lot is our Eden network, Nebraska Eden. That is our Extension Disaster Education Network. It's a statewide network. So although we don't have educators outside of really Sani, who's the lead and the director, where she orchestrates the entire network across the state, all extension professionals have emergency response, preparedness and response as a part of their job description. So when the need hits the county, like back in 2019 with floods, extension really does deploy their personnel to make sure that we're serving the county alongside any other entity that comes in to support emergency preparedness here, obviously, as well as any other outside organizations that come in. Sometimes we serve as direct boots on the ground. Sometimes we serve as a network for sharing information. If you go to our website now, extension.unl.edu, I had to think about it. There's a banner right in the front, very, very prominently about how Extension is serving all of the areas impacted by wildfires. And so you'll occasionally see that as disasters are hitting the state, you'll really notice that wherever that local community is impacted, Extension does deploy to help support alongside other resources. So keeping that in mind.
Carrie, do you guys have a copy of the LEOP, or are you familiar with it for the county?
A copy of the,
LEOP, the local.
Emergency operation
you
plan.
know what? I don't recall having a copy of that. No.
I think it would be helpful for you to say this very same thing to Megan, who's across the hall.
Yep.
And then maybe request a copy of that, just so that she knows that. You know, I always say it's not if, it's when this happens to us again, and I think it would be helpful to have everybody on the same page.
Perfect. And
Thank you.
Megan's across the hall, just right across the hall.
Yep.
I can just swing by.
Electronic documents, you can get a copy sent to you and keep it on your desktop or whatever.
Wonderful. Thank you.
It'd also probably be handy to have one printed out
I agree.
and
Yeah.
accessible for the office.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Ann and Emily might, and so
Sure.
maybe they do, but I'll run and double check.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Carrie.
All right, any other officials? Okay. We'll go to item number 6, which is commissioner reports. Reagan, we'll start with you.
I had a pretty light week last week. I did receive notification regarding an opioid settlement fund payment in the amount of $535.26. I do keep a working spreadsheet of any allocations that we received, but I also then, for the money that was spent, I also keep that in a spreadsheet. Also, something to be thinking about, that the board needs to be thinking about, is who I will be transitioning this information to, and then also who is going to be on that, who is going to be the contact person. So right now it is Barb and I that are contacts related to the opioid settlement. So we will need to have another individual who will be taking on that responsibility and tracking and keeping all of that straight. So just something for the board to be thinking about.
I'm guessing it's going to be me.
It's not difficult, I will say. I mean, in regards to the opioid funds in and of themselves, the only time that you have to do reporting is if you are currently, and that could always change, as we know, but currently the only time that you have to report is if funds were used for non-opioid
Right.
related items, which is not going to be an issue in our case. So, but, I do kind of keep track of all of that kind of stuff. It's very minimal.
As we move forward before the end of the year, will you just keep me posted on that?
Yep.
Thank you.
I also provided information to Carrie Gottschalk related to the extension priority meeting last week. I was unable to attend the actual meeting, but there was a specific resource area. So I had talked about this several weeks ago in my commissioner report. I had spoken to Roxanne about hosting basically a resources page within the county website. It's not going to cost us anything to do that. So I will be working with Roxanne to try and get this going. And I will be identifying, and I've asked people from the community also to identify potential resources and links so that that information can be shared with us, and then we can share it to our website. So then when people go to our website, they can access a multitude of different community resources.
So question on that, because I did attend that meeting and I probably misunderstood, so my apologies. I know we talked about that when we were putting together the CSAP. I think if we're doing, so I thought it was going to live in the CSAP, totally fine that it's separate. But if we're doing a resources page, do you think it would be, I think we should move the CSAP to the resources page and any other sort of documents that are prepared, the LEOP, I think all of that stuff should
Yeah.
be put on that page. Is that something you can coordinate with as well?
Yeah, will you just work with me on that?
Absolutely. Yep.
So I'm happy to take it on, and I'm happy to get it started. But just as a reminder, somebody will have to initiate kind of keeping track of what is on there and making sure, whether it's an annual check-in or whatever, that the links that are posted there are accurate.
Yep.
And that it's going to the pages that it needs to be. So again, somebody will have to kind of keep their eye on that. But yes, I will do that. And
Thank
it's
you.
actually on my list of things to do, is to get that resources page up and going. Outside of that, I did have the opportunity to drive a lot of roads in various different parts of the county. So more on the south side of my district, on the west side of my district. Also some of the roads that are surrounding the city of Seward. And it does look like the roads department has been pretty active getting rock and gravel out on some of these roads, because I did notice since the last time I've driven some of these roads that there is a lot more material that's being put out. So hopefully we'll get some rain and we'll be able to work some of this rock actually into the roadbed. That's all I have.
Thank you, Reagan. Daryl?
Okay, I had a NERMA Claims Committee meeting. This meeting went a lot longer than our normal Claims Committee meetings. We had one claim that is rather significant in nature. I'm not going to share names or facts or anything, but I will say that the NERMA hotline for HR definitely has a good place for us to use, and I know that we've used it. I believe if this county had used it, we would have avoided this particular claim. So I'm glad that that is available to counties. We just need to make sure that we use it when it's appropriate as we go forward with the situations that we come across. The second NERMA committee that I had was the policy committee. This one also went a little long because we had a discussion around the idea of reporting of either acquisitions of buildings or acquisitions of automobiles. And historically, what NERMA has done has been, I'll say, very lax in the idea that they cover just about anything. Well, we've actually had claims turned in over the years where the reporting of the new acquisitions has not occurred, and for several years, and we've still covered the loss. Now, that's not really fair to the other members because this is a pool, obviously. We all share in those claims. If you're not willing to basically take the time and be studious enough to basically turn in your new vehicles or turn in your new property acquisitions, why should the pool and the members as a whole have to pick up the difference? So there's going to be some modifications with that policy. The committee gave some direction, and we will take that up with the full board meeting in May. I did have an 911 board meeting. First order of business is that we had elections of officers. We rotate this primarily back and forth between the county and the city of Seward. So it was the city's turn to basically assume the chair, and Jessica Coulterman was elected chair. I was returned back to my position as vice chair because Scott didn't want it.
Did not.
I have prepared Mariah's performance evaluation simply because I always do that ahead of the others that we do, because that evaluation has to be looked at and approved by the other, well, primarily the city of Seward and the city of Milford. This was more of an information document to begin with, and the board just kind of popped up and unanimously said, well, let's just look at it and let's approve it and move on. So anyway, we had Mariah step out. We went through the review. Everybody was satisfied with the outcome. I will share that at a later date when we get into to evaluations with the rest of our people. Lastly, I did do some more sheriff's inventory. I'm down to 5 deputies and some loose ends. I'm not going to put a timeline on that. Some of these, I've got one deputy I know that is still out on paternity leave. I don't know when I'm going to be able to get that individual. I'm not going to have him drive in just for this inventory. And then I have one other that is the Creed deputy that works with the interdiction group, and he has some of our equipment, obviously. So I'll have to work that around, but that's all I got.
Thank you, Daryl. Okay, I think that brings it to me. Reagan mentioned roads. I was out in various parts of the county over the last week, and I made sure to take gravel everywhere I went. I was over in your district, and Scott, I shared with you. It's really interesting where we ground up, or where we took the road back to gravel essentially on Sunrise from 210 back. It's like eternally wet. So I called John and I talked to him about it. It was a day where we had not had rain for multiple days, and the condition of the road was not bad. I want to be very clear. It was actually better than most because we had just sort of rebuilt it, but it was wet and it didn't seem like there was any material on it. I called him and he said that they're having trouble getting material to stay on it. So he's going to do some exploration over there. I have no idea what would make that happen, but it's very clear that it's exactly where the old blacktop used to be. So I don't know. I know he's going to explore that and probably let you know. There are some roads that, like you said, really we need the moisture to be able to fix them. And I think that that's pretty much the case countywide. I am happy to report that the environmental review is complete. So we're ready to go. We have access to funds now. So that's the 420th project. We can move forward
Yeah.
a little bit,
Sure.
at least with getting reimbursement for NEPA and all of that. So I'm really excited that they finally signed off on that. I spent a lot of time over the last week doing research for solid waste management. Again, thank you, Brandy, for your help. She pulled 1 million documents and looking through, there is a lot. I think the bylaws are originally from like 1993, 1994, so it is time to take a look at those. The internal board already voted to take a look at those and potentially rewrite them to make it more suitable for what we have today. So more will come on that. Like I mentioned, that will come back to this board before we can sign it off for sure there. I did get with Brian Forrell, our surveyor. I just wanted to ask him where we were at with that project over by Milford. He had struggled a little bit just identifying all of the information from the title company. He was out there. He's been out there twice, and he's going to go out there one more time. He did say he doesn't think that there is any buddy's personal property on our portion. So that's good news. That means we don't have to ask anybody to move it, and it means that we're not violating anything with the floodplain. I attended the extension meeting that Reagan referred to, mostly on behalf of SECDP because we are down an executive director right now, so I was filling in. It was super interesting to kind of see what had come from that original meeting, and then the discussions that we had. They did some breakouts. Mine was regarding information sharing. So we talked a lot about information sharing and the resources that we have. We actually have a lot. When you think about how we push the information out, I think that is one area maybe our county is doing very well in.
Can
so
I ask a quick
yeah.
question? Was Megan Eccles a part of that meeting?
She wasn't on. Mm-mm.
Okay. All
No.
right. I think it's going to be important too, and Carrie kind of brought that up during her discussion this morning, because there's a lot of crossover
There is.
between their program and ours, and again, in an attempt not to duplicate services
Mhm.
and to make sure everybody's on the same page. And I'll follow up with Carrie too. And
I think that'd be great. I will say I know the number of people that were in that room, and I know the number of people that were on the call.
how many were on there?
It was not very many. I'd say less than 10,
Because there were several.
maybe 10.
I mean, I pushed out, not to overshadow your report, but
No.
I push out information to the village clerks. Then also because I don't have email addresses still for all of village board members,
Sure.
so I pushed it out to village clerks to send it out then to village trustees. So I know that there were some members like school personnel that were not going to be on, but yeah, that's too
Yeah.
bad.
I think more participation would be. I was actually quite surprised that there were not more people in the room. And I think we were all trying to do our best to say, oh, I think this person does that, or oh, I think this organization does that. But it would be helpful to have more stakeholders there for sure. Okay, so additionally, we had the emergency management or emergency preparedness events recap, sort of just a debrief. I think there was a lot of good information shared. Megan is going to take the reins from here, and I do think that this is something that we should do again next year. I think she's going to explore working with other counties and kind of bringing more education to the table. And I think the event will continue to grow. I just want to say I do think it's really, really important that we do as much as we can to help people be prepared, because I just continue to be amazed every time something happens at how they are not prepared. And so again, I understand there's the whole, you can lead them to water, but they won't drink. But I think anything we can do to share the information is what we should be doing. And then lastly, Brandy and I worked on the ARPA report for 2 hours. And I think we're all square. We just need one more piece of information from the Village of Utica, and I need to get with Barb about that offline. So that's it for me. Ken?
Sure. Upcoming, we have, most of it's upcoming, and not so much the last week what we've done, but we have the Visitors Committee meet coming up this month. We also have 2 events for Blue Valley. One is an open house that they have coming up, and you're all invited to that. And then the regular meeting also is coming up for Blue Valley. One other thing we have coming up is Judge Stecker's problem-solving court, and the graduation in York is on the agenda. The other thing is we have finalized pretty much the 4th of July committee. They're pretty much, everything is in order. I have the agenda for that day, and everything's really going good on for the 4th of July celebration. So I have notes on that if any of you'd like to see those. The other thing I did is I did survey my area in District 5, which is a matter of just meeting people, talking to them, seeing if there's any issues. And of course, we've had the candidates night, so we had a lot of things brought up to our attention and answered a lot of questions regarding our district and the whole county as a whole. And so that was a good meeting, the face off and talk about the issues. So I also did a little bit of road trip on the outside county roads, and I really don't have anything to report there. So that's about it, Misty.
Thank you, Ken. Scott?
Okay, I too was part of the 911 meeting that Daryl had touched on before. I didn't understand that the city and county swapped back and forth on leadership roles.
It's
But,
just more of a, we've always done it this way thing.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the bylaws that says it has to be that way.
That's kind of why
But you saw who brought it up,
I did.
and that's why it stays the way that it is.
So anyway, good information shared there. The whole group is very satisfied with Mariah's performance, and I think that should be shared. There again on the Expo recap, I just want to thank everyone that participated in that and the people that came out to the Expo. The recap, we're looking at, we had a few different ideas, but kind of handing the baton over to Megan, I think, is going to be a good thing. That it's going to take more people involved to make it successful. And this being the first year, I think it was a good first year. I believe next year we can make it better. Did have a meeting with emergency manager Megan, and we kind of went over job duties and how she's performing and things like that. Not a performance thing, but do you have questions here and there, and how can we help you? So I think that was a very productive meeting. I did have contact with ECC. They are a correctional control system, and this would be for a camera system at the jail. And they are based out of Lincoln, which their home office is in Springfield, Missouri. Hang on just a second.
Oh, Scott.
Not sick, just allergies. But their home office is in Springfield, Missouri. I did talk to Kevin, I can't think of his last name, about coming out and looking. They would be more than interested in coming out and looking at our system, seeing how they could put their system in. I did share this with council, and she brought up some good points that we need to talk about as far as the current maintenance program that we have with Accurate, and how that would either, whether we stay with that and continue with Accurate, or if we figure out some way of severing that relationship.
Can we add that back to the agenda for next time to have that discussion, Barb? Okay.
Yeah. Let's see, one more thing. I did do a spot check on a permit progression, and as we talked about before, how do you define that? There are flags out there, so I guess that would be progression on the third spot. So that's all I have right now.
All right.
I'd like to make one addition to my report, and it revolves around 911. As many of you know, we did have a little problem in the center here last
Oh,
week,
yeah.
where we had a generator test, and during part of that generator test, we moved to a battery backup in the center. There was an operator error made, and it blacked out the center for about 30 to 40 minutes. Now, on the surface, that sounds rather important, and it is, but things worked as they should because Seward's information all rolled to York. So we didn't lose anything. Dispatch was in place, telephones were answered, and Mariah has been given direction to basically go and look at this system. We have batteries up there that are old, and come to find out, we have a director from at least 2 directors ago that basically failed to take care of a service agreement, actually canceled it.
Yeah.
And we've been operating on a misinformed basis here for the last few years with this system. So Mariah is supposed to come back to the 911 board with some type of a quote that will change this system and bring it up to speed. And the good news is that we have wireless funds that are available that can cover the cost. So there will not be any budget funds needed from the county or the 2 municipalities. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I see that there's someone here for item number 5, so we're going to circle back to that and go to organizations. Colin, did you want to? Sure.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Colin Hine from the Seward County Chamber. I'm given the Commissioner's report for the month. So really kind of the first item is that we submitted our organization's reaccreditation application through the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. This is an extensive 9-section process that takes place every 5 years to identify best practices and benchmarks our chamber against other chambers across the country. There were some follow-up items that we have completed, so we're hoping to hear some good news about that soon. So yeah, we're hoping to hear about the reaccreditation. The search for the new president and CEO has been ongoing. Thank you to Commissioner Amick for her support on this as a member of our executive committee. The process for the recertification for the Village of Utica through the Nebraska Department of Economic Development's Leadership Certified Community Program is ongoing and will be done by the June deadline. And then we have a few upcoming events to note. First, our Seward County Leadership Academy graduation is Tuesday, May 12th. Our Regional Civics Bee competition is Friday, May 15th. Really encourage people's support on that. And then we have our quarterly board meeting on Monday, May 18th. And then we have a couple ambassador ribbon cuttings in May. First is A1 Automotive, and then second is Gold Star Martial Arts. And then the last item that I have is having Misty sign something that we chatted about. So.
All right.
Hey, Colin, where is the Civics Bee at and what time is it at?
The Civics Bee is at the Civic Center. It's just going to be kind of using the whole building. It starts at 2, but there might, it will be there beforehand. So I think there should be some more information coming out about that.
Okay.
There should be some on our website as well.
Thank you.
So.
Any other questions for Colin?
Oh, yep. Okay. There you go. Thanks, Colin.
Okay. Thank you very much, Colin. All right, we'll go back to our untimed item, or we'll go to item number 7, which is untimed, which is department head evaluations and timeline for the evaluations. I asked that this be placed on the agenda just so that we're all on the same page as far as the timeline of when we would like to make sure that those are complete and then when we would like to potentially meet. So I think traditionally we've done these in the month of May and we've wrapped up in the month of May, and we only have a couple more meetings left in the month of May, especially if we are to address item number 9 today. So I wanted to propose, if everybody is okay with that we make sure that they are complete by the 20th or 21st, and then have that meeting for consensus on the 26th. So it gives us a couple weeks, basically 15 days to complete them. So we would complete them, send them to the rest of the board, and then we would meet and discuss. Would that timeline work for everyone?
Run that by me again. The timeline is what?
So let's try to have them completed and mailed out by the 20th, May 20th,
What do you mean mailed out?
emailed out,
Okay.
shared. And then we would meet on the 26th, that Tuesday.
Okay.
Does that work for everyone?
I'm good with it.
Okay. Okay. Nothing else with that then? Any questions regarding that? Same as last year, a couple years past. You have a question? Okay, sounds good. All right, then we will go to item number 8, which is countywide wage increases for 2026 and 2027 fiscal year.
Morning. When you guys are speaking, so there's a lapel mic. So
Thank you.
I'll just have one of you speak into the microphone and the other one speak into the lapel mic if you're going to both be speaking, just to make sure that the recording is picking it up. Otherwise, it won't pick it up.
Is this good? No, you really do have to speak into it.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Oh my.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear myself. So I am just here to start the conversation that we do every year in terms of wages and increases. So if you remember, we did a comp analysis last year. We do that per policy every 3 years. A few years before that, it was getting kind of hairy. We kind of did it here and there, but now we are consistent with our policy every 3 years. But what we did 2 years ago was we increased the starting wage, a small percentage, and then a merit. And so I'm coming here to recommend that what that percentage is. That's up to you. But in order to keep our starting wages going and moving and not be stagnant, increasing them a small amount in addition to a merit, I think would be a great strategy.
Any discussion?
What are you recommending, Roxy, as far as an increase in the starting wages? So outside of merit, so merit's something that we decide on as a board. Well, we'll have to decide on this as well. But do you have a recommendation? Is this a percentage increase? What does this look like?
Yeah, so 2 years ago, I believe it was a 2% increase in starting wages, and then you guys had a 3% merit. And so I think being consistent with that. Obviously, I'm not aware of any kind of budget issues that you guys have to go over, but I'm just looking in terms of the wages. That's what I would recommend.
So to clarify, let's say that there was an employee that was hired now, or what is it? It's May.
It's
So
July.
let's just say they were hired last May. Let's say they were hired last May. And so they have been here for a year by the time we make that change, and they started at the starting wage. So they've done a really great job over the course of the year. So they're getting a 2% increase right off the top because we've increased the starting wage, and then they're getting 3% on top of that. Is that correct? So that's a 5% increase.
Yeah, once they hit their 1 year, they would get the merit. But yeah, effective July 1st, we would increase the starting wage. Yep.
Thank you.
I'm not opposed to the idea of bumping the starting wage. I don't think that this is something that's probably necessary across the board. I mean, we did a salary study 3 years ago, and I think for the most part, we remained competitive in most areas. But we do have 2 areas that I think are maybe not quite as competitive as others. And they're the ones that we always talk about. And let's just call it what it is. We have roads and we have jail.
Mhm.
I would like to see you come back with some recommendations, at least for those 2 departments. And I'll just say it because I'm not a fan of your hiring bonuses. I'd rather see that bonus money just put into salaries. But that's my opinion. Probably a minority opinion on the board, but anyway, that's my thought on this subject.
So I agree that those are difficult to fill, but every position is important. So there are essential positions, but every position is important, and just raising it for one doesn't make sense to me. If we do a salary study every 3 years, I think we should be raising the starting wage to the correct amount every 3 years as well. Doing this every year is just basically approving which we've talked about this before. I'm not opposed to say just a standard increase and a merit, but I think right now we don't have a great system in place for merit or a proven system. I think we've been working on that, which thank you for that, but I'm concerned by that.
I only bring it up in the fashion that I brought it up, is that we have a continuous
We do.
thing here in front of the board about hard to fill. And the hard to fill always seems to come from two departments. And if we're going to do something with this, let's put it in a tier section, if you will, of importance as a sense. Yes, you're right. All departments, all employees are important. But what's causing us the most angst right now? And we seem to have the biggest issues with roads and jail when it comes to, one, hiring, and two, keeping employees. So again, I'm back to, that's my 2 cents for it.
I will just remind you that last year, it was last year that we approved the change, or we looked at the salary information. I questioned roads. I literally asked the board to wait a week, and I went to Roxy to look at the data because I was thinking to myself, this doesn't seem reasonable, especially, someone with that skill. I think I questioned the jail too, because those are exactly your points. And the data,
That's what the data showed.
it's what the data showed.
Because the data was older because we used.
And it doesn't mean that I agree with it. It just means that that's what the data shows. And that's kind of the approach that we've put together. When we're making those increases at the 3-year mark, I think that's when we can make those adjustments higher than, say, just a standard increase based on the data.
The hard thing is that when we're looking at that data related to the NACO salary study, we are behind. So that is a key point. So I understand that per policy, we are supposed to be setting it every 3 years. We're going to look at the salary study. But if we are not in line with when that salary study is released, then we are always going to be behind. So again, I won't be here next year, but my recommendation would be that the salary adjustments be made at the time that the salary information from NACO is released, which may mean that we have to move up that 3-year timeline, but then that information is consistent. Back to Daryl's point, though, I will say in regard to the policy in and of itself, it's not their policy. It's a policy that was approved by the board. And so it is a board policy. But the 2 departments that continually come are the roads department and it's the jail. I mean, those are the departments that are here. I do think that we have to, I think that we have to take a look at those positions in and of themselves because we are continually behind. So I know that I talked to Roxy a few weeks ago, I believe it was, about looking at some information from surrounding counties similar to what we have done with the salary studies, just to get an idea as to where we're at. I don't like bumping, just certain departments. I think that we need to do a base salary increase to stay relevant outside of the salary studies, because otherwise what's going to happen, we're going to get to a salary study and we're going to have to make huge adjustments.
Right.
In the meantime, what's going to happen is that we're not going to be able to retain employees because we're going to do what we've been doing, which is we train people for the positions and then they leave and go elsewhere. Regardless of how we do this, it's going to be unpopular for some.
And I will say that policy talks about how compensation strategy must be flexible. In terms of what that means, we can interpret that differently. But I think that part is key too in the policy, where it states, yes, a comp analysis every 3 years, but also the strategy is flexible based on needs. So.
And as far as like when you're waiting between salaries, like Reagan was saying, if you make a small bump year to year, I mean, it doesn't have to be a drastic bump, but even a small bump, I think it's more, and again, I don't know the bottom line for you guys in the budgeting, but it's less of a financial
burden
in the short term, because if we wait those full 3 years, when we're a year behind already on the salary studies, it could be a drastic amount of money that you're paying, not just a couple departments, you're paying all of the employees to be caught up to that study.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I mean, I see what you're saying. I guess my challenge is if we hire again, after a year, someone's just basically auto granted a 5% increase. The rest of the county's not granted the 5% increase, and we have people who, and I know that the board can only be responsible for what has happened when they've been here. But I would say in the past that wasn't happening. And so we've had to make other adjustments through the years with tenure and sort of things like that. And so I'm struggling with that piece of it because I don't feel like merit is used correctly at this point. Otherwise, I would say let's just do an annual increase of so much, whether that's like 2%, and then use a merit on top of that, which personally is something I think is better because then it's just everybody knows like, okay, the longer you're here, the more you increase, and then having the opportunity for merit on top of it, to me, that makes more sense. And then obviously the starting wage would change along with it each year. So like, let's just say blanket, if we're saying 2%, if we know there's just automatically a 2% increase countywide for every employee, and we're bumping up the starting wages as well, and then offering a merit, that would make more sense to me. And I'm not suggesting 2% plus the 3% every year. I'm suggesting a standard increase every single year and the opportunity for a merit, whatever that looks like. My opinion is it would not be the 3%, but that's just me.
Having been, I'm going to say, the only person that's used the new form for merit evaluations to this point. It was new and I found it a little cumbersome to start with because it's not what I'm used to. But once I got into it, if it's used properly, and the key word here is properly,
Right.
if you use that form correctly, I think your merit increases will be a far more reflective of what your actual performance is, and therefore your merit increases will be more reflective, obviously, of the work being done. And then it comes back to the board as to, okay, what do you fill in the bottom side with in the form of either, I don't want to use the word COLA maybe, but bottom line is we've got the other thing of bumping the starting wages. So I think you have to have a two-part system here. You can't totally rely on merit all the time. But again, that's me.
So that's kind of what I just said. We would, across the board, like moving forward, and I'm just going to use 2% because that's what you recommended for the increase of the starting. Every year you could expect, okay, I'm going to move up at least 2% every single year, regardless of anything. And we're not calling it COLA because it's not COLA, but similar. And then offering merit on top of that. So that would help with keeping up with the starting wage, and it would also help with tenure, I think, and those people looking forward to. I mean, Reagan and I have had a conversation with John where he's like, there's people that have been here for however many years, and there's with the step system that we had before, they knew like they would, get to a certain point. It seems a little unknown right now, and I think more certainty would help with that personally.
For sure, yeah.
So are you just looking at the 2% as just a cost of living increase?
Basically, yes, but we
So
can't
it'd
call it
be-
that.
Increase.
Just like an insured, like they're insured that every year.
Why can't we call it a cost of living?
Because it's not.
Because that's not actually the percentage of what the cost of living
Oh,
increase
okay,
is.
gotcha.
So if you call it a COLA, then you have to go with what that COLA percentage is.
Am
So
I
we
hearing
can't call
this
it that.
correctly, that the 2% is actually what you're looking at in lieu of the increase in starting wage?
No, I'm just saying it would be both. We would have a standard 2% every single year, plus, and that would apply to starting wages as well. So it would just be across the board, and then a merit on top of that.
And I think that would help with when supervisors are completing that evaluation. They'll know that, okay, I can be stricter with the merit because if I am stricter with that and only give them maybe half of the merit, I know that they're still getting somewhat of an increase, but it's more reflective of, hey, I can actually tell you this is what you need to work on.
I just want to thank you again for working on the evaluation form, and
Yep.
I know Reagan and I sat with you and kind of reviewed it, but I don't blame any of our department heads for wanting to give everyone the max every single year. Of course they do. They want to keep their staff. We want to make sure that people are staying in place. I do not. I'm not upset with them at all. I just think that if there was to your point, if there was a way that they knew, like regardless of anything, this wage is going up every year, merit would be used more appropriately.
Yeah.
Yes,
And then,
Go ahead, Ken.
our employees are our most important asset, really. They tie this all together for our board, for the county, and I, when we get some, and we got good people, and I hate to lose them, and so I think it's very beneficial that we keep up the pace and do something for those employees. However, I do agree with Daryl. I'm not really for hiring bonus. I don't think that's effective. I'd rather see it go in some other method of compensation for the employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, I was just kind of chatting, and we haven't decided. So, we've talked about this 2%. I would like to have the discussion. I like the idea of just the standard 2% increase every year, and then trying another 2% on top of that for merit. Since the form has changed, I think that could be a good way to move forward.
And to clarify, then everyone in that position would also get that 2%.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Across the board. Yep.
that's what I'm suggesting.
I just want to clarify to make sure that we're all on the
Yeah.
same page. So the 2% would be a 2% increase for everybody, but those starting wages,
Also go up.
yep. So given the example that you had, that individual will get 2%
Yes,
because they will be brought up to what the
starting.
starting wage is. So that will be their 2%.
Yep.
And then anybody hired at that point moving forward will be at that base salary position. Then that individual who has now been here for a year is able to receive the merit because they've been here for a year. Correct?
Yes,
I
that's
just
what
want to
I'm
make sure
proposing.
that we're
Yes.
all on the same page.
And whatever that merit is I just threw 2 and 2 is to be just
So it's a 2 and 2, plus you are still going to bump the starting wages.
No,
The 2% takes care of the starting wages. Is that what I?
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Again, I'm back to let's clarify. I want to make sure I got my head wrapped around this too.
But that way everybody is getting 2%. Everybody that's currently employed
yes.
is getting a 2%. So this is different than what we've done in the past. So
Yes.
just so everybody is aware.
Does 2%, Roxanne, get us
So
the
2%.
proper jump for starting wages, do you think?
I think it helps. Yeah. I think it helps rather than not doing anything.
I think
And-
we've gone, it's been about 3% for a really long time, has it not? I think our first year was lower than that.
Yeah, we were in a 2, I think, for the longest time.
But I think we've
For
tried.
starting, yeah.
Well, I mean the merit every year.
Merit.
So
The
what I'm
merit
saying
has
is
been 3%.
I wouldn't want to see it less than that. I wouldn't want to see, less than that. But based on the new eval form, yeah, there could be some people that would receive the 4%. But I think the eval form will help mitigate.
Yeah.
Just the across the board.
So increase starting wages 2% and up to 2% merit.
Well,
So it's starting wages and every position would get 2%.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes, but then for,
Otherwise, you lose that gap.
Yeah.
Between our tenured.
100%.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
and then for the merit, you're also saying a 2%.
yeah, because I'm just worried about the tenured part of this, right?
For
When
sure.
we-
Yeah.
So a way to address that and to hopefully help us with staying up to date with that, with the data. I feel like just making
So a
that
current
progression-
tenured employee could make up to 4%.
right.
That's, yeah.
Something to keep in mind though, like just for the board, we do have a hard cap.
We
And
do.
so, for people who are here who are department heads, something to keep in mind is that this will affect your budget. So just be mindful of that because there may be less flexibility for some other things. I agree with Ken, and I've said this since, I came onto the board. Our employees are our biggest asset. We want to keep people. We do not want to have turnover, but that may make other line items a little bit more tricky. So,
That's understandable.
but I would rather pay our employees.
And I think that'll be more beneficial when it does come time for the wage analysis. It won't be as big of a burden on the county to try
Hopefully,
and
yeah.
catch up, hopefully.
Yeah.
To where the NACO study lands at that point.
Mhm. I believe I talked to Luke at the NACO conference last year, and I think he said this year they are going to be asking for data. Now, the first NACO study they asked in December, so that would be my thought is maybe at the end of this year he would reach out and get that data to be posted for 2027. So that's something we can look at too, if like what you said, if the board would rather stay in alignment with the NACO salary study.
Well, I think we need to be in the general vicinity. It doesn't mean we have to say standard, we're going this, or this.
No.
I think to your points, if we know that there's positions that are difficult and we continue to struggle with, I think we can make the adjustment
For sure.
accordingly.
Right. I guess the point that I was trying to make with that is that we don't want to be using data that is a year old,
Yep.
because a year old data related to salary information will and can be extremely drastic when we're comparing to other counties in the district or the Southeast District, which is what we did last time. So just something to be mindful of.
So we're just starting the discussion today. We don't have to make a decision today, correct? Do we want to make a decision today?
Again, we are in May. We're not having a meeting next week. Our next meeting would not be until the 19th then. You have departments that are already starting to work on their budgets. And so I think that if the board is in agreement today and it's on the agenda, I think we can make the recommendation so the department heads know moving forward. I keep saying this, the budget is coming. They need to have all of that information ready for them to begin their budgets.
Scott, are you okay with moving forward? You okay? Okay. And I guess we can take a motion. Would you be willing to do that?
I will move that the Seward County Board of Commissioners make a wage increase of 2% for all positions, including starting wages, for the 26-27 fiscal year, and that the merit award be set at 2% as well.
Second.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Hein,
Yes.
Schmeeding,
Yes.
McCarrick,
Yes.
Zabraki,
Yes.
Amick.
Yes, that is 5-4-0 opposed to approving the county-wide wage increase. Barb, I have a question for you. If this is something we wanted to do, like making sure that we're staying with that 2% every year, is that something that we should put into policy? Or write somewhere?
Resolution.
Something somewhere. Resolution's a good idea too.
You could put it in the resolution. I don't know that it needs to be, but you could put it in the salary resolution. You could add it.
I feel like just for, yeah. Okay.
We don't have, for regular employees, we don't have a resolution, but we could,
Don't we have a,
it's for elected officials.
Yeah, I don't think we do it for,
But we can do one for, regular employees and say,
don't we have some sort of salary? I'm sorry, policy or resolution?
I did say policy. Reagan recommended a resolution. We're just trying to clarify how we should go about it.
Well, it probably makes more sense to put it in policy.
Okay.
Okay.
Just if that's resolutions can be kind of they move on and not everybody's always aware of them. So you can just put it in the resolution or in the
Very true.
policy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So
Thank you
you'll
so
work on
much.
that, bring policy back at some point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So we will go to our 9:10 agenda item, which is authorizing the chair to sign an audio and video application services agreement with Sidnet and Cartel. Back. Good morning.
Good morning.
I was here last week to have the audio and video application service agreement signed. I sent that back to them in Cartel. They had forgot some language in Exhibit A. So on Exhibit A in the last page, you can see that it actually, some of our features, additional features we have are voice recognition. So that was actually left out of the original service agreement. So that language has been added.
Barb, have you reviewed?
She provided it and I looked at it generally. I didn't do a deep dive. It was just more specifications, but it's fine.
Thank you.
Any questions? If not, we'll take a motion. And should we mention that the previous one is voided then in the motion at all, or does it matter? The one that we signed last year? Okay, sounds good. So we'll just take a motion.
I'll move to authorize the chair to sign the video application service agreement with Sidnet.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Zabraki,
Yes.
Hein,
Yes.
Schmeeding,
Yes.
McCarrick,
Yes.
Amick.
Yes, that's 540 opposed to signing the audio and video application services agreement with Signet and Cartel. Go to our 9:15 timed item, which is authorizing the chair to sign Central Square interlocal addendum number 4, adding Fillmore County as a party to the interlocal agreement. Good morning.
You have to really make sure you talk into the microphone so that the recording can pick it up.
All right, I got all the other county signatures. I just got Fillmore's yesterday, and I sent it to Brandy. So the only thing left is for us, and then we need to sign the Central Square agreement to let them access our server.
And this was brought up as part of the 911 board meeting. And while we do not as a board sign off on the agreement, we do have an interest in it, obviously. And the board was in favor of signing the agreement and bringing Fillmore into the fold, as it were.
So where are we at, Blair, with the interlocal agreement that is set to expire the end of May?
The Saline County Sheriff said that their attorney has one written up. He should be sending it out within the next couple of weeks. So it should be done before the expiration at May 31st, I believe it is.
Okay. And I'm just curious, is there a reason that Fillmore County is being added before the new interlocal is being signed?
We just had it, we already had the amendment from Barb adding them, and then we just want them to be a part of the new interlocal so we can just get them on, because they've been waiting for like a year.
And then are all of the entities that are currently signed on to the interlocal agreement, are they all aware of the changes that are being made as far as legal counsel, who's writing it and who the information will be coming from?
Yes.
Okay.
Other discussion? Questions? You've reviewed it, I'm assuming. You wrote it.
I wrote it.
Okay. Anything else?
Daryl, is it you and Scott then who are kind of like paying attention to what is happening with the interlocal? Are you guys staying abreast, or Misty, is it you that's staying abreast of what's going on with the interlocal?
Sometimes I'm included in some emails. Other emails are being forwarded to me, so I'm trying, but I'm not always in the loop. So that's kind of where I'm at. I
Are
didn't
you
know
both in the
that
loop?
David was drafting the.
I've been in the loop with most of this. There is a working group amongst all of the users around the center square portion of this. Now, that addresses what we've got today primarily with Fillmore's addition. The interlocal that's coming that encompasses the 5-year thing. That's, the major interlocal, the major document that kind of governs this. And I've been in the loop on that. The working group does have some say in that, and this has all been funneled through the Saline County attorney down there. So we're just waiting for that to come back. Am I correct, Blair?
Yes.
Okay.
So then you're going to kind of stay in the loop and make sure that this comes, because if it expires, then there is no agreement. And so that can become tricky unless there's another extension. So I just want to make sure
we'll
that
stay in the loop on this, and we'll stay abreast of it. The idea would be that we want it done because we got to have it by June 1st. It expires at the end of May. So.
And all counties have to sign.
Yeah.
All entities
All
have to sign.
entities, all participants will need to sign on.
Okay.
Just so that I make sure that I know, because she just said that, and I'm like, oh gosh, I can see how that could happen. So, Saline County attorney will draft, and then it will have to go to all of the counties for their attorneys to review.
Yes.
And if something needs to be changed, then it would have to be changed.
Yeah.
Are we going to meet that deadline? I'm just kind of curious. I hope.
The last email I got from John Bauman, he's the Saline County E911 director. He said that it's done. York City Attorney has reviewed it just to see what's going on. Then he should be sending it out for everybody to review it. So I'll get it to Barb as soon as I get it.
Okay. Okay.
So hopefully not. Obviously you don't have a meeting next week, but hopefully next week we can get it on the agenda.
Celine's aware of the deadline.
Yes.
I think everybody's aware of the deadline.
I would hope so.
I hope so. You're right.
Okay. right. Any other discussion? We'll take a motion.
I'll move to authorize the chair to sign the Center Square interlocal agreement number 4, adding Fillmore County as a party to the interlocal agreement. Oh, Central Square, excuse me,
Second.
bifocal.
Please call the roll.
Zabraki,
Yes.
McCarrick,
Yes.
Schmiedy,
Yes.
Hein,
Yes.
Sonic. Yes, that is 5-4-0 opposed to signing Central Square interlocal addendum number 4. Okay, we'll go to our next item, which is authorizing the chair to sign an agreement with Central Square to grant permission to allow access to Fillmore County.
It's just Central Square's I don't know.
Agreement.
Yeah, agreement.
Any discussion about this? If not, we'll take a motion.
Did you review that?
It's their standard.
I would authorize the chair to sign the agreement with Central Square to grant permission to allow access to Fillmore County.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Zabraki,
Yes.
McCarrick,
Yes.
Hein,
Yes.
Schmiedy,
Yes.
Amick.
Yes, 5-4-0 opposed to signing the agreement with Central Square to grant permission to allow access to Fillmore County. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Blair.
All right, we'll go to our 9:20 timed item, which is the updated hiring bonus policy.
You can probably say.
You can.
Okay.
Hello again. Oh, now I was not here last week, but it was discussed to make an update to the hiring bonus policy. And so Barb and I worked together, and thank you, Barb, for quickly making those adjustments. And so what you have in front of you is what Barb and I, based on, I believe, the discussion that was had last week, she made some edits to it to where, I don't know, Barb, if you wanted to elaborate, you just removed the parameters for each tier. Okay.
So before it was like after it was posted for this many days, this many days, this many days, and we removed that. Okay.
So the implementation is still within 30 days of posting a position, then this could take into place. But yeah, in terms of basically what tier the department head would want based on their budget, they would bring to the board to decide.
So since this came to the agenda last week, there are some things that have been discussed, and I think that it's important for the board to think through this, is that you know, when a department head comes and makes a recommendation or comes for a request, right, then the board is the one who grants the request. So by removing kind of the language, the standards for tier, you know, what is supposed to happen with tier 1 and then tier 2, excuse me, and then tier 3, it's basically the board deciding what tier they're going to give. Now that can get very tricky because and again, we have not had this situation arise, so I'm just going to give an example. So let's say that the roads department comes and they have had a position that has been open for 45 days, and they're going to request, because they have it in their budget, for a tier 2 hiring bonus, and the board grants it, and then they come back, you know, let's say the next week, because they have a second position that's now open, but there is, you know, the board decides that they're only going to give a tier 1. So there could be some challenges with deciding how you're going to implement. Now, if it comes at the request of the department head, then I guess the board could say, well, you know, this is the department head's request. We're going to grant it because it's in their budget and they are responsible for their budget. But I do see that that could be a potential issue moving forward.
Are you saying that, just so I understand, that if the board says, well, we'll give you a tier 3 today, and you come back six weeks or something like that, and now we say we can only give you a tier 1, but it's
Or we're-
all within their budget.
I'm just saying the board is going to have to be consistent in their recommendations because otherwise it could be perceived that it's not consistent. Whereas with how the hiring bonus was structured previously, it was a pretty clear outline. So at this many days,
Right,
you could
right.
request tier 1. At this many days, you could request tier 2. Now that language is gone,
Mhm.
and the request could be made for tier 3.
Right.
And, you know, how is the board going to keep track of that?
The thing that
Or is it at the discretion? Are we just going to rely on the department heads and
well, I think that could. The thing that I have not liked about the hiring bonus is the fact that, and it's such a little amount too, so I want to verify it's just a small amount. That it isn't always within the same budget year. So, like for example,
That's
if you go
true.
to tier 3, you have to add a little bit, extra for the 2 years. I don't know that anybody's doing that, or if it's just like it sort of works itself out within the budget. I'm not for sure.
That is true. I didn't think about it going to the next.
Yeah, but for me, I mean, if we're gonna remove all of those, I can see what you're saying. It's like, well, somebody could be like, well, you did it for this person, but not for this person. It doesn't really give us direction on how to award it. So, for me personally, I feel like just having a hiring bonus, like just one, would just be easier. Whatever that looks like, I can't say. It doesn't help the next item, which is Sarah today, but just my thought. If we're going to continue to do this.
Do we have any data that supports that hiring bonuses are actually beneficial?
They are. So the majority of the departments that use hiring bonuses are roads and jail, and they work. I know that Sarah has used them quite a bit in her recent hiring. When we looked at, I think in the last year, I would say 4 or 5 of her new hires have had hiring bonuses.
Can I also I would recognize that if a position is open for 6 months or 12 months, how it's previously written, there's money there because that position has not been filled. So to take in consideration, is there room in the budget? Well, there's going to be because that position is not filled. So we're assuming that person is there.
If it's within the same budget year.
Yes.
So it doesn't carry over. And that's why I was saying that's the thing that it's like, I mean, it is a small amount that carries over that you sort of have to plan for. And what I'm saying is, I don't know that anybody's really doing that so much as it just fits within the budget. They might have an absence or something like that. So I see what you're saying. But we should be trying our best to be as, and this isn't directed at you or salary or anything else, but if just because we have the money within our budget doesn't mean we should spend the money, because then that goes to the starting base for the following year, which helps us with the overall request from property taxpayers.
And I can say as a department head, we don't want to, we always want to take that in consideration. I think personally, I think a tier 2 is the best option personally, just because it is all in 1 year and it's a significant amount that I think you will see applicants apply. When you see hiring bonus as an advertisement, it's very intriguing, and we have had good luck with that. It has worked. So I think the tier on the structure, definitely the language need to be changed. But as a department head, I mean, we take in consideration our budget, and it is our responsibility to make sure we maintain. So I would hope that's across the board.
Could it be, if you were looking at maybe just one tier, could it be something where it says up to 3,500 in the 1 year, like to where it would just be up to a certain amount? Is that what you're?
No, I was just saying like it would just
be the one option
there's
only.
No, yeah, because then there's to Reagan's point, like, well, you said they requested tier 3, but you only approved tier 1 here. But now because this position is maybe essential, you're saying that they're okay for tier 3
when you only
Mhm.
give the other person tier 1.
Sure. You want to come forward?
Usually, when department heads are working on their budget, I do have department heads reach out to me and say, how much money do we have left on this hiring bonus? So they are taking into account for the next fiscal year how much money is left on their hiring bonuses to pay out. So I can vouch for that because they do call me and ask me.
Good.
Because I do keep, a folder and I look through it and then I let them know how much is left for the employees that they have left to pay out. So.
Great. And I will say, even with the tier 2, it could potentially fall into another budget year, depending on when
For
the
sure.
individual is
Yeah.
hired. So, there could be carryover. But I do appreciate knowing that people are asking those questions because I do think that that is necessary. Regardless, you should know budget year to budget year what is carrying over from the previous year. I still, and we had this conversation on a previous agenda item. My hope is that in the future we can get rid of hiring bonuses and that salaries are commensurate with, what people should be paid, and that we kind of get away from this. And I understand that it's a tool, and it has been effective. I guess my question for you, and if you don't have this information, Sarah, it's not a big deal, but I'm just curious. Of the people who have received hiring bonuses, are they still employed at the Justice Center?
Yes.
So even going back a couple of years, those that received hiring bonuses,
Yeah, I would. Yeah, one.
Do
Who
you-
just recently left last month.
did they receive their entire hiring?
Yes, and I can't
bonus?
say for certain how much that was because
Okay.
that was prior administration,
No,
but
that's okay.
yes.
And so how many employees currently then that are and again, if you don't have this, I didn't know I was going to ask the question. Otherwise, I would have had you sent you information ahead of time. But how many are currently employed that have received a hiring bonus?
And I would say about 4 or 5 in the last year, 18
Okay.
months. Yep.
Yeah.
So they're
And-
probably currently
Yeah.
receiving the.
Yeah, and when we talk about what a hiring bonus is, to get people in the door, the hiring bonus is essential, but for the jail, it also costs a few $1,000s to keep that person. So we're investing in this person. We're putting in money into his hiring bonus. We're also putting money into training, jail school, the cost of all that. I mean, we're looking at one employee could be $8,000. That's how much it is for a new hire to start with this in place. Unfortunately, it can be a lot of money, and pre-planning outside of that would be beneficial.
Right. Well, and I guess that's what the point that I'm trying to get to also is that, we want to retain retain the employees that we have because it's very expensive. Just the onboarding alone is extremely costly. And then to have that turnover where you have to go through the process all over again, it's the same thing. We don't want to have a revolving door because it is costly to do the onboarding side of things. And so,
Would it just make sense instead of if we were to go with say just one amount, instead of a request having to be made every time, could the policy not just say if the position has been open for 30 days, vacant for 30 days, I want to be clear, vacant for 30 days, that the department head can offer up to this amount, and then I think the specifications of when it's paid still have to be there, but to me that takes away the need for yes.
Coming to the board. Yeah.
What you're saying is we're going to do away with any kind of a tier system here. There's going to be a single amount for a hiring bonus, and you're going to give the discretion to the department head, which on the surface I don't have a problem with. I mean, the department head rules the department, and everybody on this board knows my position on hiring bonuses. So enough said.
I also think that it's important though to have a conversation because there is verbiage that talks about qualified candidates, qualified applicants. And so this is not a dig at you or anybody else, but the policy is very specific. So I understand what you guys are talking about. But at the same time, like if there is somebody who is a potential candidate that falls within that window, I mean, what do we do there?
And I would
So
say
if
it's
there's an
within
applicant,
the department head discretion of whether or not they're qualified.
well, I understand that, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if somebody meets the basic qualifications for the position, which is how it's posted, right? So if they meet the basic qualifications,
The basic requirements.
thank you, the basic requirements of the position, then how does that work? Because then it's at the discretion of the department head, and some positions are different than others, where you may have an applicant who has experience, or you may get an applicant who doesn't have experience, but they still meet the basic requirements for the position and could be trained to fill that position.
I just think there's a lot of things to look into when it comes to a qualified applicant. And on paper, they could have the qualifications, but what if their employment history does not meet the standard of what we would want as an employee? What if they, reference checks are done, prior employment has been looked into? On paper, sure, but there's a lot of things to consider, especially in our field, that we look into, not just what's the basic requirements. We want to know, is the person the right person based off of how much they use sick time, how much are they, how flexible they are they willing to go to third shift, can they work weekends, PREA standards, they meet the PREA compliance on their past history of employment. It's just not black and white on what a qualified applicant would be. There's so much more to that.
I understand that, but I guess the policy, again, and how it's written, like the policy doesn't say that, and so it's not black and white. It's very gray. So
Would it be helpful if we said something like, if a department fails to receive a qualified applicant, and defining what that qualified applicant means in terms of like at the discretion of department head, or what do you
I mean, that
thinking?
would be difficult, because what one department deems as qualified is going to be different depending on the department head. So, I mean, again, I think it's at the discretion of the department head, right, to determine if that person is a qualified applicant or not. This is just for conversation, because I think that it's important. I mean, regardless, I'm 1 vote in 5, and so
With respect to qualification, I think this again goes back to the department head. They're the ones that are going to have to live with the hire. And the only codicil I would put on that is that with consultation with the HR director, and that we're all on the same page as to our standards met, hiring standards being met. And at that point, for me, it's a moot point. If you as a department head like the individual, it's your hire. I shouldn't be something I as a board member have much to say about.
Thoughts over there?
Well, as I'm listening to all this, and I think it all comes back to the department head. If we could agree on, if you're going to do a hiring bonus, this is what it is. It's up to the department head.
Yeah.
I hate to see it continually come back to the board
Yep.
and we have these discussions because we're not the ones that are actually hiring this person. We're not the ones that are actually working with this person. So I'm going to put our trust in the department heads that they can make a good decision. Now, it comes down to the board whether we want to spend $2,000 on a hiring bonus or zero, or $2,500 or whatever the case may be. But we've had a lot of conversations about this particular subject, and it would be nice to put it to bed and then put that responsibility on the department head.
So
That's where it should be.
you're agreeing with kind of what I suggested, which is
One.
choose one of them, make it that.
Yes.
We could still have the same like 90 days, 6 months, 1 year, but remove the fact that they have to approve it and just lay it within the department head. I just think that takes any, you did this for this person, but not for this person out of the way. And since it's in the middle and it's kind of already laid out, personally, I would like to see us do tier 2 and just make that the hiring bonus. I think it needs to be pretty clear that the position has been posted and vacant for 30 days.
Posted and vacant?
Yeah, because, I mean, let's be honest, if we know somebody's leaving and it's posted for 30, I don't know. It's
Okay.
just,
Well,
That's key too, because right
we
now there's
don't-
no vacancy, it's just posted.
you don't post though until the position is open, correct?
Not
Or do you?
necessarily, if we try and get ahead of it
I was just thinking, like, if we knew somebody was leaving, we might be posting it.
earlier.
So I think I would just like to see it be vacant for 30 days. I don't want that for you. I want to be clear. I would like to see it say, like, the position is actually vacant for 30 days. Then we could go to the hiring bonus. Because otherwise, I think if we know someone's leaving, we could just do it 30 days before and just assume that the hiring bonus would come into play. Not that I think anybody would do that. I'm just trying to
I see, okay.
sort it out.
So change instead of 30 days of posting, 30 days of vacancy.
Yeah.
And then getting away from wherever it's,
under implementation.
yep, requesting approval from the board, that I would still want to keep in there the department head will evaluate factors such as duration of the position being open, budget availability, and the amount of the hiring bonus period kind of thing. So that's in there to just show that it's up to the department head.
Well, and yes, because it's going to be very important that whoever that individual is they're paying close attention to their budget. So if it's a tight budget year,
They need to
Right?
be aware of that, yeah.
they need to be aware of that, because if they end up going over budget and they've given 5 hiring bonuses, that could be a challenge.
So just to clarify, we're saying 30 days vacant. It's at the department head's discretion, especially with the qualified applications portion. We would just make it across the board tier 2, which is 3,500. That's 500 at 90 days, 1,000 at 6 months, 2,000 at 1 year. Barb, do you see any issues with that?
And to clarify, if let's say a department head wants to do less than that, are they able to? I'm gonna get that question.
I mean, it's their budget. On the one hand, it's like it's their budget, but I think the hiring bonus should just be the hiring bonus, right?
Okay.
So I think,
Well,
and I'm
again,
looking
you're
at
gonna-
30 days vacancy. They should have that within their budget.
But you're also, Sarah, I'm not picking on you, but if that were to happen and you were to do up to $3,500 and you were to give, say, 2,000 to one and 3,500 to another, then that creates some challenges potentially for you. And
And
as
she
a
currently
department
has
head,
that.
and I don't think that, I don't foresee that being, I mean, you're the department head, you can do what you want, unless it's written into policy as being a certain way, but I mean, that could be very challenging.
Okay, so that being said, this is gonna have to come back before us because we're gonna have to write it again. But are we all okay with that? So, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, moving forward. Or okay moving forward? You.
Move forward.
Okay,
You know
so
what my vote's gonna be.
I do. So we would bring this back around next time with that change.
Yes. To clarify, there is other parts regarding on the policy that talks about being granted by the board, so I just want to clarify.
We're removing those.
Eligibility.
I think it's the same. The eligibility is the same, but you would take out the wording about approval is granted by the Board of Commissioners.
Okay.
So it would still be the same. So it's not rehires, it's not temporary, it's not part-time.
Right, but in terms of the department head would not have to go up in front of the board to be eligible. Okay. I think that was.
I think the policy adjustment would stay.
Stay,
'cause obviously
yeah,
it's
dependent on the board. Yeah,
Right.
that's fine. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so everybody agree with that? We're gonna bring it back around next time with those edits again. Sorry, Roxy. Okay. All right. So that takes care of the hiring bonus policy. Now we have our next item, which is request hiring bonus for detention center corrections officer. So since we know where we're going with this and we're sort of all in consensus, I realize that this goes against the policy today, but is this something we could approve today?
I don't see why not.
And I'm in agreement too, because if there's consensus,
Yeah.
which we have for modifying the policy, I don't see why we couldn't act on it. And we did ask Sarah to come back.
Again,
So, any other discussion about this? Sarah, you're still okay with tier 2? You okay? Perfect. I want to make sure. Barb, are we okay to do that? Okay, sounds good. So we'll take a motion.
I will move that we approve the request for a hiring bonus for the detention center corrections officer position, which is currently tier 2, $3,500. $500 payable after 90 days, $1,000 after 6 months of employment, and $2,000 after the employee completes 1 year of employment.
second.
Please call the roll.
Hein,
Yes.
Carrick,
Yes.
Schmiedy,
I'm going to go along with it because I feel it's important to keep these employees and get the best ones. I feel responsible to the superintendents that they have an opportunity to hire the right people. Earlier I said I was pretty much against these bonuses, but to make sure we're in step with everyone and getting the best people for our buck, I'm gonna this time go along with that policy and vote yes.
Zabraki,
No,
Amick.
Yes. All right, so that is 4-1 against approving the tier 2 hiring bonus for the detention center corrections officer. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roxy. Okay, we're going to skip our 9:30 timed item. We're going to move that to the end of the agenda. We'll go to our 9:35 timed item, which is hearing from Jessica Bodefield from GMP Landfill about accepting waste outside GMP Landfill service area and waste that can be used as an alternative daily cover. Morning, Jessica.
Good morning.
When you're speaking, if you could just lean forward and speak into the mic, we'd appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Commissioners, for considering my formal request for permission to accept waste outside our service area for use of alternative daily cover. We call it ADC. Our customer, Northern Natural Gas, is currently undertaking a construction project in Clifton, Kansas, which will generate approximately 2,600 tons of alternative daily cover, which is petroleum contaminated soil. This material is suitable for use as ADC at our facility. Following the closure of Dieter Foundry on December 19, 2025, we lost access to their foundry sand and ash, which previously provided us about 650 tons of ADC material per month, as approved by the NWEE. Since that time, we have increasingly relied on our future sell dirt for daily cover, impacting our operational efficiency. Utilizing petroleum contaminated soil from Northern Natural Gas will aid in controlling litter and reduce the labor and equipment hours spent hauling dirt from our own pit. Our annual aerial survey assists in monitoring landfill site life and density. As of March 2026, projections indicated that GMP Development Landfill has an estimated remaining site life at 37 years, as we are today. Section 506 of the Solid Waste Disposal and Host Agreement reads, as part of our agreement and commitment, we GMP Development Landfill guarantees to the board and the agency a site life at 25 years from the final approval date back in 2012 when we were granted our expansion. We still guarantee that accepting this waste will not interfere with our agreement and commitment to our guaranteed site life.
Questions? And just to clarify, it's soil. We're bringing soil, not trash, right?
Correct. It's just soil. It's petroleum contaminated soil, and what it is, what they are doing this construction site, they are removing the soil around this gas station and they're filling it with rock to help prevent fires to go away. So they have excess of dirt that they need to get off their site. And we're the first landfill that can take this kind of stuff that's close to them in that area.
so this is not going to be incinerated dirt like they do in some cases. You're going to take it right off the site and bring it here.
Correct. That's how we utilize petroleum contaminated soil.
And what's the impact on, I'll say, groundwater with this?
No impact. It's on top of the landfill, you know, on top of the waste, which when a cell is built, it has and passes um, a certain kind of liner, you know, a lot of liner that's on the bottom of it that secures the groundwater. And we test the groundwater twice a year from a third party company.
Very good, thank you.
Is there any evaporation consistency with the soil contaminated dirt as used overlay? I mean, it's contaminated, but there's nothing that actually releases into the air or
Correct.
anything?
Yeah, it's just petroleum. A lot of times, you know, back historically, I guess when there was petroleum contaminated soil, a lot of sites would just push out the soil and, you know, it'd evaporate all the petroleum out of it and everything. And it's not harmful to anybody to be around. It'd be just like going to a gas station.
How do you use this daily cover? I'm going to assume that they're going to haul it in faster than you can use it. Is that kind of the way? You're going to have a pile of it stored out there?
We can have a 300 cubic yards that we like to have set aside alone for an event of a fire at our site. We have a lot of room left in our we built a new cell this last fall, and we had to get down there so we could get it covered and everything because of the sand and everything, you know. And with the winter wind, we just wanted to get down below so it wasn't blowing our litter into the farmer's field. So we have a lot of room up top that we can use that soil, that we can cover, you know, from erosion or anything. Because a lot of things that we can't put down on our first layer, it's called our fluff lift, like the big telephone poles and stuff like that we have up on top, which we can leave open. It's not trash, but we can use that soil to help cover all that we have up there, you know, and any other places that's showing trash or anything. We have a lot of places that we can use it, but we can also store a lot of it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
This may be a silly question, but it's called contaminated soil, but is it actually petroleum contaminated?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what exactly does that mean?
It's going to be an oil, a gas, nothing that's leaded or anything. You know, it's a petroleum byproduct that you know, from underground storage tanks or whatever, what have you. People get those excavated, and that's how they come to our sites. There used to be a lot of cleanouts when it first when they first passed it, you know, that all underground storage tanks had to be above ground. You know, back in the day, we used to get a lot of it, but it's really hit and miss anymore. I think we've gotten a lot of it. Like when they built the Pinnacle Bank Arena, we got all that petroleum contaminated soil,
Mm-hmm.
you know, from the railroads and stuff.
Any other discussion? We'll take a motion.
I will move the request of G&P landfill to accept waste outside of the G&P landfill service area. And the waste then can be used as an alternative daily cover.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Zabraki,
Yes.
Carrot,
Yes.
Hein,
Yes.
Schmiedy,
Yes.
Amick.
No. I want to clarify that I think that this is a perfectly acceptable use. I know that you guys are amazing out there. You do what you're supposed to do. It is top tier facility. And this is why I've invited everybody to come out and take a tour with Jessica. However, as a representative from Milford, this is in my district, and the biggest thing that I get is feedback that, you know, why do we have to accept it? Why does it have to go in our backyard? So because I represent my district, I'm a no, but I want you to know I do fully understand what you're using it for, and I want to note I think you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing. So thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So you guys approved it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is 4-4, 1 against.
Okay.
Accepting waste outside G&P landfill service area and waste that can be used as an alternative daily cover. Thank you, Jessica.
Without the liner. The liner.
Yeah,
Okay with
I
it.
get it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to our 9:45 timed item, which is addendum to the public defender contract. So I did go back and I had the policy board change the contract. Then I had Barb review the contract. And then there was some discussion about if we even needed to do the addendum. And so I'm bringing the addendum forward because that's kind of what was requested. But, and you're going to have to help me through this, based on some discussions that I've had with Barb, it doesn't seem like, so Tana asked us to increase the expense line because she wanted to pay for a witness. But it sounds like, and you're going to have to clarify, it sounds like witnesses are not something that would be considered an other expense. It's a witness fee. So it would be something that as long as the court deems it necessary, we would be, liable for paying anyways.
Right.
So the other expenses would be things like, can you explain what those other expenses would be?
I ran across the statute when I was doing some research, and it's specifically an expert witness. So since I was here for the discussion, I just wanted to be sure that everybody was on the same page with what the intent of changing the interlocal was. The process is that the court, for a contracted employee or a public defender, anybody that's not privately hired, the court is the one that approves the fees. Generally, what I've always seen, and I don't know if it's required or if that's just best practice, is that an attorney that's appointed or a public defender generally goes to the court prior to hiring a witness and says, hey, I want to hire this witness. Here's why I think it is appropriate. The state has a chance to weigh in because there's a hearing on that, and then the court approves or doesn't approve a witness. And a lot of times, most of the time, the attorney will provide how much they think that's going to cost. And so then prior to that, then the court approves it, and the board is obligated to pay it. Statute specifically says if the court approves it, the board has to pay it. My understanding is that the contract public defender wanted to hire the expert and then provide the fees request to the court at the end. Okay. And that's normal too. I mean, they do. That's what happens. Is that they do that. And I don't know if she specifically didn't want to file a motion or if that's not what her practice is. I have no idea. I can't speak to that. But when I look at the addendum, the money authorized by the addendum is above and beyond anything that's ordered by the court. So I don't know if I misunderstood and she wanted, like, that's more, you could do a consulting fee or anything like that. And so that would be on top of whatever the cost of the witness was to come and testify and provide their opinion, that kind of thing. So it's up to the board what the intent was in adding those extra funds.
Because the witness fees don't fall under other expenses, correct?
I don't think they do.
Okay.
The expert witness fees.
I'm
saying that, but I
yes,
just want
and it does say that.
that's expert witness fees.
And I think the discussion that I sort of was not a part of, but a part of was saying, I think all of us was saying that there was maybe a disagreement between what was considered an other expense, or if it was considered another expense, or if it was not considered another expense, right?
Well, the two interpretations aren't inconsistent. The statute does contemplate that the attorney get paid for it, but it just depends if trying to kind of articulate. Expert witness fees aren't going to be miscellaneous fees because you can't put a number on it. And essentially, I understand that there is no specific number put on that, but there's a cap on it. There's a cap on it without coming to the board for approval. You can't spend more than whatever it is now, it's 1,000 or 5,000. I would view, I'm not saying I'm right, I would view miscellaneous expenses as more kind of just other expenses that wouldn't necessarily go through the court. And again, it just
So-
depends on what everybody's intent was.
And my understanding of what kind of the conversation back and forth is that what you're saying is that expert witness fees are going to be assigned by the court.
Yes.
And the board is going to have to pay them regardless.
Right.
So to me, that's a moot point.
Right.
But in the context of the conversation that was had here, and again, that's been several weeks ago, and so anybody please feel free to weigh in. But my understanding was is it was very specific to these expert witnesses. That was the request. And so the perception is that she needed to seek approval for things greater than that $1,000 for these expert witness fees. But again, related to how the statute reads, that it's not, because it's going to be assessed by, like the court is going to say, the judge will say, you have, yes, and then the county will be responsible for paying those fees. It does
And-
not fall under miscellaneous expenses.
Right. She is right in one aspect, in that if a, and I don't mean this to at all sound like I don't think that she would be fiscally responsible. I have absolutely no reason to say that. It's just at some point she may not be the contract public defender. It may be somebody else. So if she were to hire an expert under that clause without approval from the board, and not request prior court approval, then submit it at the end of the case and it's not approved by the court,
Then she could be liable
Then-
for incurring the costs of whatever those witness fees are because she didn't have it ahead of time.
right? If that's not in, if you don't change the amount and she hires somebody,
But we approved it.
No, we didn't approve
No,
it.
I didn't approve
No,
it.
I'm just saying, if the addendum stood, then we would have approved it, because she'd have to bring it. No, because that would have been, it's across the board.
So
What's involved here then is that she needs to just basically go to the judge and file a motion for a hearing that says, I need a witness, an expert witness, and it's going to cost X, Y, Z. And historically, in your experience, the judge, I'm going to assume, normally approves those expenses. I'm sure there's a review process, but I'm going to say that I think most judicial people are going to give that defendant the benefit of the doubt, and you're going to wind up paying this. All we've done with the addendum is put a cap on what can be spent. And let's just say that we have a witness that goes to $8,000. We basically said we're only going to pay $5,000. Now we're back. Am I hearing that right or wrong?
No, she just was saying, the reason she requested for it to be 5,000 was because she felt that those expert witnesses fell under this, probably because to Barb's point, she likes to submit them at the end instead of at, I think you were on the right track there. So I think it's not saying we'll only pay 5,000, it's saying up to 5,000, she doesn't need our approval. After 5,000, she would have to come back is what she was requesting to change for, saying that the majority of the time it's less than 5,000.
but if she spent the 5,000 and then the court ordered 10,000, the board would have to pay the 10,000 on top of the 5,000.
Mhm.
Right.
So, and I'm not going to speak to her trial strategy. I don't want to speak to her trial strategy, and she may specifically not want to or not have the practice of going in front of the court and asking for it prior to. I don't know if that's required. That's what I've always seen. That doesn't mean that it's required. There's a case specifically that is ironically also a DUI case where the court, I'm trying to find where the court did not allow the expense. The public defender or the contract attorney hired or filed a motion, went in front of the court, and the quote that the court gave is, the right of an indigent defendant to appointment of an expert witness at state expense generally rests in the discretion of the trial court.
And they said no.
And they said no.
So again, the reason I put this back on, she has already signed this, as you see, is just because I wanted Barb to be able to explain it since we were all kind of CC'd in the exchange. First and foremost, I want to say she is excellent. She is so good for, like, she's consistent and she's a really, really good public defender. And I am very, very appreciative of her and the work that she's doing. I wonder if it would be reasonable to just have this discussion again with her present to make sure that we're completely understanding as a board. Right now, I don't think we need to change anything. I am of the opinion that the $1,000 is fine because it's for miscellaneous expenses. Perhaps it's a procedural thing where maybe she should be doing this before instead of after. But it doesn't sound like it would be denied that often, probably based on.
It's not denied that often. It is sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's not denied that often, especially in a case with the sort of thing that she is mentioning. I don't expect that it would be probably denied by the court. I wanted to point out, I sent that to you, but not to everybody. There in the contract, I understand how she's reading it.
Yeah.
But in paragraph 8, with regard to other expenses, it says subject to the approval and consent of the appropriate court, the county shall pay necessary costs ordered to be paid by the court, including. So the list that she had, including misdemeanor cases, that's just a list of examples. So anything ordered by the court, the board has to pay.
Right. And so again, that is a moot point.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I understand like the verbiage and all of that kind of stuff. I get that. But I am going to go back to, I don't think it's necessary that we change it. I don't think it's necessary that we increase it to the $5,000 because of the information that has been shared. Now, do we want her to come back in front of the board? No, I don't think that that's necessary.
Okay.
What my recommendation would be is that whoever the liaison is to the public defender, and I believe it's
That's
you,
me.
I think that that should be a one-on-one conversation. Also, we are recording our meetings, and if there is any, if she wants to listen in on this specific segment prior to your meeting, I think that that would be beneficial. But if I'm understanding this correctly, the court is going to tell us if we have to
Yep.
pay these
Yep.
fees. And so this is more for miscellaneous stuff, in which we haven't had an issue, and she hasn't had to come to us before for an increase in that. So I don't think it would be necessary to increase it.
I'd prefer to leave this to the judge. I mean, she can make her case with the judge, and if the judge orders the expense, then we're obligated to pay it.
To clarify, though, the reason that this was brought about was because she was wanting the approval to pay those witness fees, but technically we don't get to approve that or not, right? What she came for initially. The court approves it.
The court approves it, correct?
Okay.
And then that's presented to the board for payment.
It comes through the claims process.
Okay. Everybody okay with just leaving it at 1,000 then?
Yes.
Can you help me with a response to her based on the conversation here? Because I don't want to say something incorrectly. Maybe you and I can write her an email and explain why which I know you've already explained it. I do understand that. But just kind of explain what the discussion was and why we feel this way moving forward. At least then it's documented and she has that email that says this is, the board's perception of this or whatever. This is our intention. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Any other discussion on that? Okay. We'll go back to our untimed items, number 9, which is a request to cancel Board of Commissioners meeting on Tuesday, May 12th due to the statewide primary election.
I said I was gonna beg and bat my eyes, but I'm waiting. So historically, I think Sherry has requested to either have a short meeting or it usually falls on a claims day. And so it's always been, she would always say, just a 5-minute meeting to approve the claims. There aren't claims this time because they were today. So there isn't anything super time sensitive, I don't think. So I'm just asking if we can not have a meeting on Tuesday so that I am available for election things instead. I will beg if you want me to.
I don't want you to beg.
No.
I don't think
Is
it's
there anything on the
necessary.
agenda at this point that you're aware of? Nothing.
There's nothing.
The only thing is Board of Equalization,
Yep.
but Marilyn already came in this
Yep.
morning and gave that report, so it can be moved. It just needs to be done before June 1st, which we will have another Board of Equalization meeting in May.
And I think that, I know during protests and stuff that you can have,
We add
you
another one.
add one or move
Yes.
them around if you need to. So if it were absolutely necessary, you could do it the 19th.
Sure.
if you chose to. But it sounds like Maryland is okay with the 26th.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Any discussion about this? Are we okay with this? It just for reference sake, at least the last couple times, it's always been on a claims
it's always
day,
been on
and
a
that's
claims
what we
day.
held the meeting to. So
Mhm. This time we just happen to not have anything. So
take a motion.
I would move we honor the request of the county clerk to cancel the board meeting on Tuesday, May the 12th, due to the statewide primary election.
Second.
Zabraki,
Yes.
Schmeeding,
Yes.
Hein,
Yes.
Vakaric,
Yes.
Amick.
Yes. So 540 opposed to cancel the Board of Commissioners meeting next Tuesday, May 12th, because of the statewide primary election. All right, we'll go back to our timed items. Our 9:30 timed item is Resolution 3932, and it's a short form plat for, how do you say that last name? Canutes subdivision in the southeast quarter of Section 20, Township 11 North, Range 2, east of the 6 p.m. Morning, Marissa.
Twyla Fickle has requested a replat. The intention of this application is to replat the current 5 acres. It meets the requirements of Seward County. It is not in water conservation. It does not have floodplain concerns. Taxes are paid in full as of March 15th, 2026. Planning Commission recommended approval of this plat with a vote of 6-4, 0 against, 3 absent, not voting.
As I'm looking at this, I'm seeing, are they separating the farm buildings and the, because it looks like they were maybe, one of them was included before. Is that the goal here? Is to
Yes.
remove the large building?
Yes,
Public garage.
and, yeah, so the large Quonset will go to the farmland now, and she owns both parcels.
Okay. And we're just keeping it at 5 acres to make sure that it's within regulation. Got it. Any other questions?
Simple.
Okay, we'll take a motion.
I will move that we approve Resolution 3932, short form plat for Knuth subdivision in the southeast quarter of Section 20, Township 11 North, Range 2, east of the 6 p.m.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Hein,
Yes.
Vakaric,
Yes.
Zabraki,
Yes.
Schmeeding,
Yes.
Amick.
Yes, that is 540 opposed to approving Resolution 3932. Thank you, Marissa.
Thank you.
Okay, our last item is the agenda for May 19th, since we will not be meeting next Tuesday. So do we want to we have that?
So the 19th we'll have claims, and then you wanted to put the camera.
Yeah, so
what do you-
discussion for,
Okay, do you-
how would we word that? Contract discussion?
Service agreement.
Oh.
The discussion of the accurate service agreement.
And potential future
Options for
for
and options.
different
Providers.
providers?
Yeah.
There you go.
Do you want it timed?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Make sure Mike is present as well.
Sorry.
What if you make sure Mike is present as well, please?
Okay.
And then I have the Veteran Service Committee member. Does that need to be timed? Does anybody sign?
I think it should be time.
Okay.
I sent an email to Ray to make sure he gets those submitted to the clerk.
So I did have Legion Post, I don't know the right name, is it Commander, whatever the right term is, reach out and say he had not heard or he had not received a email from Ray asking for nominations. So he sent it to me and I sent it to Brandy. And I did CC you on that so that you're aware. He did just send it directly to me. Peggy Brown also said that she would be interested in continuing to serve. So I asked her to make sure that the post
she did?
sent
She
a
did?
nomination to Ray. Okay. But just to be clear, I did ask that she send it to Ray.
Okay.
So
I'll get a hold of Ray.
do we need to push this back 1 week? Because again, the term starts in June, so we would still have another week to accept additional, because we have 2 weeks right now.
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
I think that we should push it back, and then that gives you the opportunity to have a conversation with Ray, because then, I mean, again, a call for nominations, I think, should come from Ray, and it should
I
be
expressed that.
every post and VFW should be included in that.
Yeah, we had that conversation.
Okay, so let's
Okay,
push
so-
that back a week.
All right, so we'll put that on the 26th.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have so far, unless you want me to add anything else.
And for the Veteran Service Committee, it's 2 separate positions. It's a position beginning in June of a 3-year term, June of 2026, and then also filling
A vacancy.
a vacancy for a term ending in June of 2027. I don't.
A term ending in June of 27?
Correct. That's the vacancy. And then the other one is the position that's the term is ending.
Okay. And the statute, I just want to make sure that I'm clear. I'm not trying to prolong this meeting, but it is, there's supposed to be potentially 3 nominations
There has to be
for
3 names.
each position or total.
Based on the past, Barbara said we can use the same 3 names for both position, but there has to be at least 3.
Okay.
And that's kind of what I think the last time we had to, we used the same.
Okay.
3 names. Yeah. And I hope that there's more interest, but if not, as long as we have 3. So it sounds like we have at least 2, so that's promising. And then hopefully we get another 1 or 2 or 5. So, okay. If there's nothing else, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Well, we adjourn the May 5, 2026 Board of Commissioners meeting at 10:32 a.m.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Sabraki?
Yes.
Hein?
Yes.
McCarrick?
Yes.
Meeting?
Yes.
Amen.
Yes, 5-4-0 opposed to adjourning the meeting.